Today's tiny tip focuses on what I call the crop factor. Have you ever wondered why you go to print an 8x10 image and all of a sudden you have parts of your image that may be missing? Let me explain today what I call the crop factor and give a little history on why things are the way they are. Digital cameras take their images in a 2:3 ratio. This means that a 4:6 gives you the full image that you saw when you took the camera. Now we're just going to multiply that same ratio into the other enlargement sizes that you may be familiar with. So we take that 4:6, you double it, and now it is an 8:12. That means that an 8:10 is not going to fit your image, and you're going to have at least 2 inches that are going to necessarily be cropped to be able to meet that new dimension size. So let's talk about why we have such common focus on the 8:10, or break it down, the 4:5 ratio. If you go back in time to film days, film cameras often shot with 8:10 film. This means that for them, the 4:5 ratio was exactly what they took. And so it didn't require a crop to be able to get an 8:10 photo or a 16:20. Tradition from film has made it possible so that when we go to the store, if you want to buy a frame for something, that you still see the traditional film dimensions for the images. So you'll see 8:10 frame sizes, you'll see 16:20 frame sizes, and it's a throwback from the traditional days of film shooting. Now what do we do now that we have digital SLR cameras that shoot in a 2:3 ratio? Well, there's 2 options that I usually do in my own workflow. The first is, if you know that you're going to want to fit the dimension of a 4:5, then you need to be sure that you leave some space as you shoot around the image to leave room for a crop that is going to have to occur. So if you're shooting a group photo, make sure you leave space. Personally, I don't really do that because I like to frame it exactly as I see it inside the camera. And so I encourage people to print according to the real dimension size, which would mean that they would print an 8:12 instead of an 8:10. This requires custom framing, which can be awesome and beautiful, but it can also be quite costly and expensive. The way around this is to instead get a custom mat cut for your print. So if I have a mat made for an 8:10 print, if I have a mat made for an 8:12 print, and then instead put that matted print and mat inside an 11:14 frame, I have bypassed the need to be able to get a custom frame, and I have maintained the lovely photo as it was taken without requiring any further crop. So hopefully that was helpful in explaining what is the crop factor.